Stiff tendons this, stiff tendons that. You wanna know what else is stiff? My muscles. A lot of people like to use tendon stiffness and elasticity as buzzwords to get views, but most athletes don't know what they are and don't know how to train that. So let's go over that on this video. Stiffness is basically an object's resistance to deformation under load. So let me get my hairband and kind of show you an example. So look at this band. If I pull it, it's pretty compliant. It's easy to stretch, meaning I can deform it pretty easily. Now, if I get something like this, a really thick band, super hard to stretch, that means it's stiffer. This is stiffer than this. Your tendons work in the same way. Now, elasticity is totally different. Elasticity is how well something can store and release energy. In this case, how well our tendons can store and release energy. So stiffer tendons are harder to pull on, meaning when you're able to actually deform them, they're able to store and release energy a lot more efficiently and leak less energy during ground contacts. However, jumping high isn't just about having stiff tendons, meaning you could have the stiffest tendons in the world, but it doesn't mean a thing if you can't actually stretch them. High jumping performance, high sprinting performance is all dependent on your muscles and tendons working together as a unit, because it's not just muscle and tendon. The muscle and tendon connect to each other and they work together. So when a stiff tendon stretches, it's able to store a lot of elastic energy, and when it recoils, it releases that energy really fast, contributing to propulsion of our body in a sprint or a jump. If your muscle is too weak or not stiff enough, in this analogy, let's say my arms are the muscles, it's too weak to even stretch the band, it's not gonna do anything and you're not gonna get any elastic energy out of that. During athletic movement, the muscle is actually acting isometrically, so it's able to stretch the tendon. If the muscle is not strong enough, then it's unable to actually act isometrically and actually pull on the tendon. In other words, you're not gonna be able to use the tendon's elastic properties if you're weak. So you could have the stiffest tendons in the world, but if you can't stretch them, then it's not gonna do anything. This is exactly what I focus on building in the athletes I coach on Get Up. Not random workouts, but an actual structured progressive system that's proven to work and refined throughout the years and the hundreds of athletes I've coached. It's how I got Tyler from chronic knee and Achilles pain to dunking like this at 5'8". He never got a dunk before me. He was just dealing with a lot of injuries. He built his way back up to being able to dunk like this, which is crazy. So if you're serious about improving your performance in volleyball, basketball, or whatever sport you play, sign up for Get Up with the link in my description and I'll reach out to you. Now, how do we actually get stiff muscles and stiff tendons? First, let's talk about tendon stiffness. I want to talk about a big misconception first. A lot of people think that plyometrics is what improves tendon stiffness, and that's just wrong. It doesn't do that to the extent of other modalities. Tendon stiffness is a structural property of tendons. Plyometrics are more of a neural stimulus. They don't really create as much structural adaptation. Tendons respond best to high strain under longer loading durations. That's why slow, heavy resistance training is so beneficial for getting our tendons stiffer. So something like a heavy squat, a heavy calf raise, a heavy deadlift, a heavy isometric. So a lot of heavy lifting, strength training. Those things are what you should prioritize. That's why we want to get a lot of that when we're trying to jump higher, trying to run faster. Strength training will promote collagen synthesis, which will pretty much get the tendon stiffer and thicker, which will increase the tendon's ability to handle and transmit force. This is also why slow heavy lifting is so good for dealing with tendinopathy. Now, muscle stiffness is primarily a neural adaptation. It's the muscle's ability to turn on rapidly and resist lengthening under load. This comes from pre-activation before the foot touches the ground, rapid motor unit recruitment, high rate of force development, and co-contraction of the surrounding muscles to help with stability. So to put that simply, muscle stiffness is all about how much force you can produce, how fast you can produce that force, and how well you can time firing it. Now, like I said earlier, during athletic movement, the muscle is acting isometrically so that the tendon is stretching. But for the muscle to act isometrically in high force activities, it needs to be really damn strong. That's why strength training will also help with muscle stiffness. Look at your absolute strength as the ceiling for your force output. The muscle also needs to learn how to resist lengthening under loads. We can do this through isometrics, either yielding or overcoming, and heavy slow eccentric movements. So trying to go really slow with a heavy squat or really slow and heavy calf raise, like the ones you're seeing on the screen right now. Now, the main thing that will train muscle stiffness and elasticity of the musculotendinous unit is doing plyometrics. Plyos will pretty much train your ability to do all the things I just mentioned earlier. Applying force quickly, coordinating pre-activation, and minimizing ground contact times. But not all plyos are made equal. Real stiffness and elasticity is built through really short ground contact time plyos. So things like pogo jumps or drop jumps or sprinting, the more you do these types of plyos and the better you get at them, the more you're training the muscles to act isometrically and the tendon's ability to store and release energy. And everything has to be progressed. You can't just jump into drop jumps because they're really good for tendon stiffness and elasticity, because those are probably one of the most intense plyos you can do. If you go straight into these high intensity plyos or heavy strength training, then all you're gonna do is increase the risk of injury. You wanna build your way up to being able to handle those types of things gradually. And these adaptations take time to build. You can't just skip steps. So to summarize, elite elasticity comes from having stiff muscles and stiff tendons working together. Heavy slow resistance training will focus on building the tendon to being stiffer. Strength training, isometrics, and slow eccentrics are gonna build the muscle's ability to produce and handle force. And plyometrics are gonna teach you how to apply that force quickly and train the muscle to act isometrically. That's what actually makes you explosive. And if you want the best roadmap to get both to an elite level, sign up for Get Up and I got you.